Hello friends, and welcome to another edition of Transformational Astrology. We're using a slightly different format for this recording because of vacation schedules, but we'll still be able to see the chart, which is the important thing, and the mouse. And we do want to show this lunar eclipse full moon that's coming up on August 7th is really powerful, and we definitely want to talk about that to some extent. So sizing this up, what would you think is the most striking feature? I believe that it's the fact that the full moon is right at the 15-degree Aquarius mark, which is a power degree in the zodiac. All the midpoints of fixed signs, the 15-degree mark of fixed signs, are powerful in that way. Well, not only that, if we look at Pluto and if we look at Neptune, 17 and 13, the midpoint would be 15, and in fact, we can show in the time passages software actually. Let me do that. So if I go down to reports, midpoints, and then we want to see the Neptune, here we go, Neptune-Pluto midpoint, and I think you can see it is 15 degrees, 31 minutes of Aquarius. So meanwhile, the actual eclipse point is 15 degrees and 25 minutes. So this is very significant that the full moon eclipse is right on the midpoint of Pluto and Neptune. And what does that tell us? Well, it brings the outer planets more fully into the picture. And Pluto's been around as far as even the new moon, so in this whole cycle, Jupiter was coming to square with it, and now it's still at the same degree. So there's really a lot of Pluto, including Pluto and Saturn together. Remember that these guys are parallel. We can show that too, that Saturn is 21.9 and Pluto 21.6. So these are very closely parallel. So bringing Saturn in is conservative empowerment for one thing, and it's also the connection with Pluto is very similar to the 60s when we had Uranus and Pluto in conjunction with each other with Saturn opposed. And we had quite a bit of backlash as well as what we had as far as moving forward in a revolutionary way. Well, the same thing is happening now. There's a revolutionary mode to this decade based on the Uranus-Pluto square that we're in the midst of. And so we do want to recognize that with Saturn in the picture, there's structural transformation taking place at all levels. It would be at the level of the culture, where we can see basically Washington falling apart. And then we can also find it in our own lives as well. We can find out which parts of our lives are going to be obsolete in this new stage, and that means we've evolved. Certain things that we were in the habit of being involved with are fading away, and other things are coming into being, and you can resist that process, or you can actually go with it. And you know, it's good to just try to be as aware as possible of what the changes are that you're dealing with and being in the midst of. We know that, for example, shortly after this eclipse full moon, here we have Mercury. Mercury is stationing at 12 degrees, I'm sorry, on the 12th at 11 degrees, so directly opposite Neptune. So coming right up, and therefore emphasizing Neptune still further. And in fact, if we want to take a look at some other configurations in here, we know that actually, if you look closely, we know that Venus is quintile to Uranus. Can you see at the bottom of the screen there? It's kind of small. And in fact, Venus is actually biquintile within a degree to this full moon eclipse degree. So we have Uranus at the midpoint of the Venus moon, bringing this eclipse configuration of the sun opposite the moon, which includes Mars, by the way, only a few degrees, 4 degrees away from the sun. You know, this is just a very powerful configuration involving all the outer planets, Uranus included, along with, and In fact, Uranus and Neptune are separated by 45 degrees almost perfectly. So this is a semi-square. So all the outer planets are linked with each other, linked with the full moon eclipse degree. And we just have to recognize that this is a very powerful time in our lives. Let me see. Uranus and Neptune together. In Richard Tarnas's book, Cosmos and Psyche, he talks about that combination, and he refers to times in the past when they've been in combination, in close combination with each other. And of course, this is a 45-degree exact aspect right here. He talks about broader cycles, but you could associate it with the founding of new religions. You could say that the inspiration is there with Uranus, and it is taking it beyond the physical into the spiritual realms. So there's really a huge amount of spirituality that's implicit in what's going on right now. We see that in terms of some of the institutionalized Christian right-wing fundamentalist philosophy coming to the fore in many ways right now. But we also see this in terms of a more free-form, new age, you could call it, way of looking at things, which does include astrology, which is recognizing that what we have is we have the physical and we have what's beyond the physical, and they're equally important. And the unconscious side of ourselves, which is revealed in dreams, this is the province of Neptune. Music, the arts, poetry, things that take us outside of the normal run of events, which has been, unfortunately, ever since the 16th century, in fact, has been downgraded in our society. So these are important things to realize are coming along. As an almost underground stream through the 60s was very conscious of this, that there's more to life than getting and spending, so to speak. So these are things that are to think about this weekend. On the August 7th weekend, when we have this very strong presence of astrological indicators that can help us to leverage that and to see a little bit more closely into what we're up to, because maybe we're changing, maybe it's hard to accept change in certain ways, and it could be letting go of something that's very precious that we sort of hate to let go of, but yet it's time to let go of, and so there's that conflict. And we can resist and we can escape, we can duck our heads or hide our heads in the sand, as they say, but sooner or later it's going to become obvious. And I love to quote the sage Abraham, channeled sage, who said a very, I think, very funny and very powerful thing, which is, if you have a problem and you ignore the problem, don't worry, it'll get worse. And it is for your benefit. In other words, it's a kind of a reframing, isn't it? That things that happen don't have to be terrible things. They might be very good things. And in the long run, like that job that you thought you had to have because of the financial picture, and you got fired, and then 10 years later you're able to say, that was the best day of my life. That was the start of everything, was when I got fired from that job. So, these are the other ways to frame it, other ways to look, try to be optimistic, since we have a lot of Jupiter also in this configuration right now. Jupiter and Saturn are coming into configuration with each other, which is a sextile configuration. And, that's an important time, too, to recognize that we have both ways. We have the glass half full or half empty. We have a way of looking at it as a dire thing, a limitation imposed upon us. We're forced into this track, but maybe that's the very track we need to be on. So anyway, there's just a time to really think twice about everything. Don't get excited if things seem to be going wrong. Just if you're ready to blurt out in anger, try not to. Try to say, I need to take a minute here and think about what you're really upset about, which a lot of times has nothing to do with the surface of things. And just a time to really meditate on what is going on with my life right now, and where do I really need to address change, and where do I need to find my deepest values. I really feel like this is a strong time of Eris as well. Eris is in a grand trine, actually, or was in a grand trine at the new moon time with Mercury being here. Now you can still see kind of a grand trine with the sun coming into this degree, with the north node at 24, but it's between 21 degrees of Saturn, which is just stationed, and 23 degrees of Eris. So it's a time of digging in and being committed to what does Eris represent. Well, I feel like Eris represents finding your own soul intention and tuning into that. And once you do, making a stand for what you most deeply believe in, and then nothing can really affect you. You're really in a good position because you can say, well, this is where I'm coming from. And things may be going to hell in a handbasket, but this is where I'm coming from. So I guess that's all I had to say about this full moon. Kind of keeping it brief right now, but it is a time of great change and great the possibility of tuning in. A great awareness can come at this time, and we do want to recognize the eclipses, not just any old eclipse either. It's very tied into the outer planets. So this is a strong time to be aware and to pay attention. So good luck with all that, and we'll talk to you next couple of weeks. Okay, take care. Bye.